Hello and welcome. Welcome to another one of my ranking videos. But in this video, last time I did In Flames, this video I'm going to be ranking the progressive death metal band Opeth, or slash prog rock. This is one of the few bands that I've listened to that I've slowly grown into. When I first heard them, I wasn't really that big of a fan, but now I would consider myself a fan. Also, before I get into the actual ranking, this is a warning to those watching. This video does contain some hot takes, so if you're if you get easily mad over the ranking of Opeth albums, I would click off now, but because this video will have some hot takes, and we will see this about at the 10th placement. So anyway, without further ado, let's just get into it. And at number 13, I have Pale Communion. This and the next album that I have ranked are the only albums that I have below a 6. Talking about the prog rock era will get kind of samey because I have the same complaints about every single one, because I find a large chunk of them just to be of The two tracks I do enjoy on this album are Moon Above, Sun Below, and Faith in Others. Other than that, I just don't get that much enjoyment out of the rest of the tracks because they're just super boring. Also, Voice of Reason is the only Opeth song that I would consider not good. Yeah, it is the only one that I would say I fully dislike. The way it flows is super awkward. The intro sounds like the Mission Impossible theme, and at the beginning throughout the track there's just awful sounding brass section that I just don't like. And overall, I just don't see myself returning to this album. And at number 12, I have Sorceress. This one has the same problem as Pale Communion, but it's a little less boring, and I like a few more songs on here compared to Pale Communion. Also, the production on here is kind of cheeks, but some of the songs do make up for it. Listening to this one in one sitting, as well as Pale Communion, gets tiring. The chill acoustic songs are nice to listen to, like Will O' the Wisp. But listening to the super distorted, I think it's the bass, it kind of hurts my ears sometimes, and it's just irritating. I don't know what it is. Personally, not a fan of this one either, but it has its moments. I think the title track are good, the Wildflowers, and Will O' the Wisp. And at number 11, I have Heritage. Honestly, when I first heard this and people said this was the worst Opeth album, I was kind of confused because I was like, well, are these couple tracks kind of bang? What are they talking about? Because it does sound like Rush sometimes. There are bangers on here like the Devil's Orchard, Slither, and Famine. Some of the other tracks are neat too, but like previous mentioned about the other albums, they just kind of bore me. Not really much to say about this one, but it's overhated. But it does get boring at times. And here we are. Probably my spiciest take, I think, on this list. I'm not sure. Number 10, I have Deliverance. Okay, now put your pitchforks down and just hear me out, okay? Just put them down. Just hear me out. I know a lot of people who enjoy this one, but for me personally, there are two reasons why I have it this low. One, I don't like the production. I think the guitar sounds thin, and I really don't care for how the bass drum sounds. Just the production overall, I don't like. It's not fun to listen to. Number two, there is a severe lack of riffs I find interesting, which is impressive considering Michael writes a lot of good riffs on every album. The ending part of the title track, that the rhythm beat, dun 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 dun, something like that. It just when it repeats over and over, it's just super annoying, and I've never liked that section at all. The only song that has like very very good riffs and I actually really enjoy is Master's Apprentice. For Absence Friends is also very pretty, but overall, yeah, this album doesn't do much for me besides that one track. I don't know how to pronounce this one, so I'm just gonna say ICV is my number 9. My personal favorite of their prog rock stuff, personally. It does get long-winded at times as you go on, but overall, I think this is the best that they've done with this type of prog rock sound that they're going for. Good production, awesome bass. Michael has some great vocal melodies on some of these tracks. They're spectacular, like Heart and Hand. Carl Latin, I think is how you say it, is my other favorite on this. Not much to say about this one, but I personally think it's their best prog rock album. It does have its problems with like the bloatedness. And number 8, I have Damnation.
Forgot me this time. There is nothing left for you to take. This is goodbye.
Yes, this is the all acoustic Opeth album. A good chunk of Opeth fans have this in their top 3 or top 5. And I get it. I really do get it. This album is basically a soundtrack to like a mental breakdown. Window Pane and My Time of Need and To Rid the Disease are probably my favorites off of this. The production is neat, but I do admit the synths kind of sound cheap and not really all that great. But they do work. They work for the sound of this album. And the reason I have this album this low is because I do not really come back to this album often, and when I listen to music, I have to be in like a certain mood to enjoy a certain thing or a genre. And this album is, I almost don't have like, I'm almost always not in the mood for this album because I have other albums that I listen to when I'm like depressed or something. But when I do come back to this album, some people say, "Oh, you're listening to the best Opeth album." And honestly, at that point, like, I very much disagree. And at that point, I just don't want to listen to it because some people just turn me off from it. But yeah, the main reason is because I'm just not in the mood for it most of the time. And I don't really have any emotional attachment to any of these songs either. So yeah, that is my reasoning for my placement of Damnation. And number 7, I have Morning Rise. Morning Rise is just Orchid, but improved every single way. Paraphrased by for 2 Opeth nerds in my Discord server. I'm gonna have to hard disagree there, but before I get to why, let's just start with the positives. There are some very good riffs across here. In the acoustic interludes between songs are very beautiful. Like the interludes, as in like the interlude in the song, because there's a lot of acoustic interludes in within songs and Opeth songs. And I think the bass here is pretty cool. But now let's get to why I have this at number 7. I think there's enough songs here to bring me back, or should I say songs that are interesting to revisit. Black Rose Immortal is pretty neat. To Bid You Farewell is pretty cool. Nectar is neat. I think the production on here is a massive step back from to Orchid. Even Michael himself agrees that this album does not sound good. The bass is less present, but you could still hear it. You could still hear the cool bass lines. And just the production, I am not a fan of, really. Not to mention, some of the songs are kind of bloated. Like I said, Black Rose Immortal is good, but you kind of have to admit the song's a little bloated. The production on Michael's vocals just sounds pretty weak, and there are a severe lack of infectious melodies on here compared to albums before it. Definitely a step back from oh, never mind, because there's only one album that came before it, so obviously Orchid. Number 6, I have Blackwater Park. Now, here is an instance where it gets spicy. I do believe this is the most overrated album. Yes, it is a good album. Bleak has very good melodies and very, very awesome vocals. Dirge of November, very pretty sounding and emotional sounding track. The Funeral Portrait, the riffs are great and it's very, very groovy. And the title track, those tracks are probably my favorite off of this. I think the production is great, has awesome riffs throughout, and it's a great follow up to Still Life. However, is it the best prog death metal album of all time, and the best Opeth album? Personally, absolutely not. Especially the best prog death metal album. Like if someone gave me that album and said this is peak prog death metal, I would probably be disappointed. It is a great album, but not the best prog death metal album of all time. I don't think I would put it in number 5. I don't even think it's in top 5. Maybe even top 10. I don't know. I feel like this album works better as individual tracks more than as a whole album because the album drags a lot. Yeah. So again, if you gave this album to someone that said this is the best prog death metal album of all time, they would probably be disappointed. Overall, it's a good album, but I personally think it's overrated. And number 5, Still Life. I know this is many people's favorite when it comes to this band. People usually call it the best if they aren't sucking off Blackwater Park, which I get. I get. It's a great album. Benighted is very beautiful. It has catchy and fun vocal melodies. The More is an epic opener to this album. Serenity Painted Death is like my 4th favorite Opeth song overall. The groovy riff is like 1 minute 20 seconds. It just takes the cake for me. Face of Melania, I think. It's a very cool track, and it starts out with like the soft acoustic sound that they do, and then springing into like a heavy section. There's 2 tracks I'm kind of mixed on, and that's Godhead's Laminate and White Cluster. They aren't bad songs at all, but they just don't really do that much for me. Is this the best Opeth album, and is it a 10 out of 10? Perhaps is it 11 out of 10? Me personally, no, I disagree, but it is still a good album and it deserves some of the praise it gets. But me personally, I don't think it's like top tier. Yeah, honestly, I get it. I get the people. I get why people put this at number 1, but me personally, it doesn't really hit me as hard as some of the ones ranked higher than that. And number 4, I have Ghost Reveries. Not gonna lie, I still have to grow a little bit more into this one, but as of now, it's grown enough on me for it to be my 4th favorite. If you said Ghost of Perdition was the best written Opeth song, I probably would not argue with you. It is a banger and a half. It's my 2nd favorite Opeth song. My other favorites are Beneath the Mire, Reverie, Harcourt Forest, and the Grand Conjuration. The vocal melodies in this album are absolutely fantastic. Especially in Ghost of Perdition. The riffs are great, as well as the production is really good. I do think Atonement is a little half-baked, but I still enjoy it. I don't have many complaints besides that I need to grow more into some of the songs, like Baying of the Hounds and Hours of Wealth. Other than that, great album. Number 3, I have Watershed. Yeah, I really, really like this one. Opeth's last death metal album as of now. Who knows? Maybe they'll pull another death metal album out in the future, but I doubt it. This album starts out with Coil, which is a very beautiful acoustic track, and then right next to it is Hair Apparent, which is the only Opeth song to not have any clean vocals. It's a very intense and mean song. The Lotus Eater is my third favorite song by them. I actually got into this album because Saints Row has Opeth on the road radio station in the game, and the Lotus Eater played, and I loved it. Burden also just hits me hard. The piano intro is just so good, as well as the vocal melodies carried throughout. I like how in Lotus Eater it turns into like this like jazzy section. It makes me just smile every time because it's so funny, and because it's greatly executed too. Just every song has awesome riffs and great vocal melodies that I just love. Every track is good and hits hard. I don't really have any complaints about this album. And number 2 is My Arms, Your Hairs. Oh my lord, I'm coming. This has a lot about what I love about this band, the infectious guitar lines, the catchy and haunting vocals. I love the production on this album a lot. April Ethereal is a very heavy and haunting sounding track. When is just gorgeous. Demon of the Fall is very heavy, and I like how in Amen Corner he says he says Demon of the Fall at the very end and then goes right into Demon of the Fall. Well, not right into it, but like it's pretty cool. This is very Megadeth inspired prog, which I love. I love it. I love the sound. There's also covers on the very bottom of the album, which is Circle of the Tyrants by Celtic Frost and Remember Tomorrow by Iron Maiden. I personally prefer the Obituary cover of Circle of the Tyrants instead because it fits their style more. But that being said, though, I think the Opeth version is cool too because it has like the piano intro and plays the main riff on the piano. If people said this was an improvement from Orchid, if it came afterwards, like directly afterwards, I would still disagree, but I would at least see where they were coming from. The song lengths are relatively shorter compared to the others. So if you're one to complain about song lengths, here you go, because they're like an average 6 to 8 minutes. This brings back what I liked about Orchid. Heavy riffs, very catchy melodies, production is great. This one grew on me after about 3 listens. A very, very good album. And at number 1, Orchid. Here we are. We are at my number 1 pick. Very spicy take for a lot of Opeth fans on YouTube. Because every single ranking I've seen on YouTube is either has this last or the bottom 3, which I am so tired of. Especially their reasoning. Their reasoning is because the songs are disjointed. Like, okay, sure, some of these songs or technically had a couple songs put together. But do you not remember what fucking genre you're listening to? Do you think every Opeth song, like, doesn't feel a little disjointed? Or perhaps Dream Theater? Like, prog is a genre known for its weirdness and its song structure, so I personally find that critique entirely so just stupid. Personally. Because I haven't seen a single ranking on YouTube to have Orchid not at the bottom 3 or just last. So anyway, let's actually get to the actual album. This album has fire bass lines. Like, they're so good. The riffs, oh my lord, dude. Every riff on this album is fire. Every single second of this album keeps me engaged and has me singing along to the riffs and guitar lines. It has that like melodic black metal atmosphere with that Swedish melodic death metal riffing with a prog twist. It's heavy, it's very pretty, and I'm always in the mood for it, unlike Damnation. Forest of October is one of my favorite songs of all time now. It's a great song. Michael's voice sounds fierce and powerful. Just this album has so many melodies and riffs that I just fall in love with all over and over again. Of course, since this sounds the most like a Megadeth album compared to the others, of course it would be my favorite. Because if you know me, and I just love this type of sound. I love the sound on this album. I feel like this would be an amazing album to listen to when it's like night out and you just see stars like covering the entire sky. Because it does get atmospheric at times, in my opinion. The most notable, like one of those atmospheric sections, are the middle of the In the Mist She Was Standing and Forest of October. This album is a banger front to back, and I will forever defend it because it is indeed in my top 15 albums of all time. And there you go. This is my ranking of my Opeth albums. If you have critique, let me know. Of course, a lot of you are going to disagree with my placings, but it is what it is. And so if you enjoyed, click like and subscribe if you're new, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.